Hi and welcome to episode 3 in my video series about how I knit socks. And in episode 2 I did the straight ankle, and now I am ready to begin the heel. And now I am going to show you how to knit the heel flap and how I do the heel turn to shape the heel when the round begins here at the middle of the heel. My round begins here at this column which goes up the back of the ankle, and I have the sock I am knitting here. You can see this is where my round begins, and I have finished the ankle. And after finishing the ankle, I have counted my stitches so that I have the same number of stitches on each side of this column here. So I have 3 stitches. This is the column going down the middle back, and I have the same number of stitches on each side on needle 1 and 4. I will use this color for the heel, so I will not be needing this one, and I will just cut this yarn because there is no natural place it'll go from here when I continue to make the foot. So get rid of that. Like this. And now I would like to change back to the same needle size I used here to make sure that the heel is not too stretchy. I want it to be knitted a little tight. And I will make a stockinette heel flap for this one. So, and the number of stitches to place on in needle 4 and 1, you will find that information in the pattern that you are following. And if you are not following any pattern, it's usually half of the stitches or close to it. So I will show you the first part. I begin by knitting needle 1 over to my new needle here. Like this. And now I turn my work to the wrong side. I find a new needle the same size as this one, and I slip the first stitch. I do not pull my working yarn around the edge like this. I slip the first stitch in a way that allows the working yarn to go between this first stitch and the next. And this is to make a nice even edge to the heel flap without the knots on the side. And now I am going to purl back to the beginning of my row like this, and I am back at the beginning, and I have now 2 rows on needle 1, and I'm ready to do needle 4, and I get another, make sure I change needle size here as well, and I continue to purl. Pull this a little to avoid a hole. There I have the first row on needle 4. Just find my yarn here. I slip the first stitch. Now I don't have to worry about where the yarn goes because it is always already on the wrong side. And I knit, and I knit needle 4, until I arrive at the beginning of my round again. So now I have done the 2 first rows of my heel flap, and I will continue to go back and forward until I have the number of rows that I need, or until my heel flap has the length that I need. Sometimes a pattern will say it should have this number of rows, or it should be this many centimeters, but we don't all have the same size or shape feet, so you may also have to try it on yourself or the person who will use the socks, and just try to get to know your knitting and the sizes so that you can either follow the pattern or adjust. But this anyway is how I begin to knit the stockinette heel flap when the round begins here in the middle back. And I'll continue now to make the heel flap, and when it is time to turn the heel, I will get back to you and show you how to do that. My heel flap is now finished and looks like this, and I am now going to turn the heel, and that means I will knit back and forward and knit stitches together as I go to shape the heel and give it that bend around. And your pattern will tell you how many stitches to knit. In my case, as I still begin here, the beginning of my round is in the middle back of the heel. I am going to knit 4 stitches. 3, 4. That is the 3 stitches for the column and plus 1. And the next operation to do in my pattern says slip, slip, knit. And because of, as I explained earlier, the way I purl, the stitches will sit the opposite way on my needle. So instead of doing that, I will simply bring my needle in through 2 stitches from the right going towards the left. As you can see, I do not twist the stitches now, and I will knit the 2 stitches together like this. I will show you what I would do if my stitches sat the opposite way here, the other way, the normal way on the needle, where I would pick them up from left to right to open them up like this. Then I would do a normal slip slip knit operation, which means I would slip 1 stitch, slip another stitch, and then bring my left needle through from left towards right like this and knit. It'll be the same result. And then I knit 1 more stitch and turn to the wrong side. And I slip the first stitch, and then I purl back 2, 3, 4, 5. That was the 3 stitches for the column, and then 1 more stitch, 6. And I do the same here, because my stitches go from left and down to the right. When I pick up from the right here, I open them up, as you can see. So I will simply purl the 2 together by going behind the yarn, needle through both stitches from right and towards left, and let's see, I'll do it again. Purl the 2 stitches together like this. If they were the other way, like this, on my needle, I would slip and slip and then go behind the yarn like this. So now you have seen how to do it to get the same result regardless of which way your stitches sits on the needle. So after purling the 2 together, I purl 1 more stitch and I turn to the right side again, and now you can see I have a gap here in this side. I have the same, I'll show you. I slip and I begin to knit back to the beginning of my round. You can see I have the same gap here, so 1 gap in each side. And now I will go back and forward, and every time I arrive at a gap, I stop 1 stitch before the gap and I work the gap together, either the way I did now because of the way my stitches sit on my needle, or you slip knit, and then knit one more, turn to the wrong side, slip one, and then I purl my way to the gap in the other side until there is one stitch left, and then I purl the gap together, and I purl one more, turn to the right side, and so it continues back and forward until all the gaps are gone. In the end you will have the gap all the way out here between this and this stitch, and when both of those are purled together, the heel turn is done. And when the heel turn is done, actually the whole heel is done, and the next thing to do then is to pick up stitches along the edge and connect the heel with the rest of the sock and do decreases for the gusset in each side. And I will get back to that in the next episode, episode 4. And thank you for watching.